All right, I call this meeting to order. And I'll just take some attendance left. Kathleen Peoples. Here. Eve Marks. Here. Sarah Mullery. Here. Library Director Jennifer Rennie. Present. And our liaison, Mayor Steve Wright today. And Lee Griffith will be providing our Friends and Foundation report. And Nate is present.
And Kathy Bryan was unable to attend.
Kathy was unable to attend. Any changes to the agenda? All right, on to the approval of minutes from our March meeting.
Oh, it was March.
It's the first time I had to think about it too. Is there a motion to approve? And a second? Minutes are approved. And community engagement, does anyone have any community engagement reports over the last month?
I bragged you up a little bit. Somebody was saying about how the Dalles Library was the most wonderful library they'd ever been to for children. I said, oh, you gotta see ours.
Mm-hmm. I was down at the Cannon Beach History Center and they were saying how cool it was that we partnered with the Seaside Historical Society for Hops, History Month.
History Month.
Yep.
I think the artists given all their talks there about the Seaside riots. That's, I think.
All right, well then on to the assistant director report, which is that's your email or person that you have.
We'll see there's something on the agenda a little bit later where we will circle back to this report sort of as an example, but just want to go through some highlights that you shared. We are getting some pretty decent attendance at our adult programs. And what was added and not included because this was printed before the Saturday program, but we had 12 attend the climate change for coastal gardeners on Saturday, so that was a nice turnout for that. 13 at Johnny Guitar, and that's kind of amazing. We're getting some good numbers for programming. Of course, coming up, we have working night tomorrow night and another book talk on Saturday. And again, we're doing twice a month for board game night. And then additionally, sort of calling it adult programming, but it's under additional programs are the book discussions, the One Book, One Seaside coming up. So our first one will be next Tuesday, the 8th here in this room at 11, and then again Saturday at 1 p.m. In the middle there, I think Wednesday night is when Beach Books is having their book group discussion. And then of course on the 17th is when it'll be at Seaside Brewing, similar to a history and hops presentation. Might need to chat with you about buying the microphone. Mental note or recorded note. Yeah, figuring out what that would look like. And yeah, the team programs are again super fun, the ones we have coming up. Sidewalk poetry is one of my favorites. So April is Poetry Month. So last year the weather cooperated and it looks like it might do the same this year. So we had poetry all up and down the sidewalk along Broadway here. It's really inspirational and probably the kids like original poetry or some original and some some just sort of written from the copy from books. Game day sounds like what it is. Book spine poems, if you've never heard of this, it's where you take books and stack them, showing their spines, and you can create short poems by just the titles that are showing. It's kind of fun. I'm of course looking for sandwiches and Shakespeare, so I just have to test. And you will see on toward the end of the month the teen book club. So again, the teens choose the books that they read. They submit suggestions. Marion will go through and ensure that they're appropriate and all sorts of things. Then come back and say, here are the selections. And they all voted for The Hunchback of Notre Dame. So, or Notre Dame, which is a very thick book. And very tiny type. And so we'll see how that goes. It's kind of fun.
They voted for it knowing how big it is.
Correct. So again, these are the kids who show up 10 a.m. on a Saturday. Teenagers, you know, they are food motivated, so we do provide them snacks, but I would need a lot more than a decent bagel and a cup of hot cocoa to get me to leave. Outside of, a college level course. So, yeah, it'll be fun to see how that goes. And just circling back to the one book, One Seaside, we've blown through all of the books. We had one book returned that someone had read and brought back, so we have another one that's available for free. But we have a bunch of folks seemingly interested in the program. We'll see how it goes and see what it looks like. So that's the highlights from Josh's report.
All right, and Leah, would you present the Friends and Foundation report?
Yes, I was just looking over the minutes and Tina had given you a good background of where we're at. We've been meeting, we've been working on policies. One of them we were working on last month was financial policies, so that we have a good feel of how we're going to use our funds. At this point, we have about $7,000 in a checking account, about $10,000 in the Friends savings account, and those are kind of kept as the active monies, the monies that will pay for some of these programs and things like that. And the foundation had accrued about $33,000, and we'll be moving that money into the US Bank CDs this Friday and getting that in there. The plan is that endowment fund, the money from the foundation, will not be used unless we really, 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 really think about it and talk about it. And it's not something that's going to be just used every year for programming. We're looking at it as being something that can be built up so that we can then use the interest from it for projects and have that available in the future. So I think that's going to be a good thing. We've got some dates on here. We've got the meeting with we're hosting the chamber on May 7th. And then in July, we'll be having the meeting that we're inviting all the members to. We should have the membership forms out by your next meeting, so all of you can join. We are really working on making it a membership organization. The Friends have been. They kind of lost track of it for a while, I think with COVID and everything else. And so even some people who had joined never got put in the list. And so we're working really hard to make sure that we reach out to everyone that ever was a member of the Seaside Friends, the Library Friends, and getting them to join the new Friends and Foundation organization. So I think it's a good marriage. I think it's a good merge. And this is good for both organizations, and they're both going to come out stronger with this. So, and I don't know if you have seen or have received, these are the magnets that we made with our new logo. Christy Waits is on the committee, and she is a graphic designer. And so she did some really nice magnets, and we have stickers, and we've got a button on your lanyard there. And so we'll be giving some of those out at the chamber event and maybe making them for sale. I don't know what the plan is on those, but we want to have some things. But of course, Tina's all about having merch. So I'm not sure what other kind of merchandise that she's going to want to have, but she's all about the merch. And I think it's a good start. You got to build your audience before you try to sell them stuff. And so I think, but I do think it's a good thing, and we'll be able to. We need the members because, from what I have gathered, the revenue from the bookstore is maybe cover half of what the annual request is from the library for support and programs. So the hope is that membership dues will definitely cover that other half and then help us build up. So if they have something big one year, that we can add an extra $1,000 to that. But it's about $10,000 a year that the library is looking at to the Friends and Foundation to support mostly programming. And so we want to be able to continue with that. That's one of the reasons why we need to make sure we get members. So.
So I can't do the math, but how many members does that make? Because I don't know what the.
You know, the rates are going to be like, what, no, I think it went up. $25 for individuals, $40 for families, 75 for nonprofits, maybe $100 for business, and of course, the ever popular $1,000 lifetime membership. Which is always nice to have, especially to kind of kickstart you into something. And so we were changing it and revising it a little bit last time, so that don't take me at my word on that one, but what I figured when I was kind of playing around with the numbers is we probably need to have somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 members. And the last time they counted the membership, it was without any effort really. It was like 250 members. So, you know, it's fairly successful to have that membership. So we'll really be pushing for that and encouraging people. If they have to give them magnets and pins to get them to do that, and we'll.
And the newsletter, of course, the newsletter's coming back in some form.
Yes, we talked about the fact that we're looking at doing the newsletter not as something that has to be done every quarter or every half year or whatever, but we'll do a occasional newsletter when we need to have it out for certain times. Like we'll do it when we're going to be renewing people, and it's going to be a calendar year membership year, so they'll renew in December, January. So we'll do a mailing then, and then maybe we'll do a mailing later on, maybe to promote summer reading and that kind of thing. And then also anyone who, for the first membership, pays their membership in October of the year, they'll actually have their membership year start in January, so they'll have a full year. And you know, working through some of those details, you know, I didn't about those details. Yeah, you do, because then they come up. And so he is really good at policies. That's one of her fortes. So she's keeping us going with the policies. So I think that's about it, what she already reported. But do think about coming on May 7th at 8 a.m.
All right, thank you for the update. And Jennifer, your library director report.
Yeah, this one is a little bit short and sweet. And remember what I wrote. Let's see. Okay. Two different agenda, all confused. So I did want to just highlight, I was doing some numbers recently that the staffing that we have 7.5 FTE for the library, and it's been pretty steady at 7.5 for quite some time. Those are 9 individual folks filling those 7.5 hours, FTE hours. And I tallied it up because we had a couple of folks having anniversaries. Mine's kind of we have over 80 years of service to the Seaside Public Library with those 9 folks, which I think is pretty impressive. And some of them, I have to point out, I won't say names, but one individual has been here 22 years. I'll give you one guess as to who that one is, but and just behind him, we have Connie, who's been here in a number of different roles over the years, in almost 17 years. And Susan, who probably saw at the desk just now, she's almost at about 13 years. So we have some longevity in a variety of different roles. And I think that speaks to the city in which we live and the community in which we live. And I'm very proud of our staff. We do an amazing job, and change is hard. You know, lots of things are changing at City Hall. Josh and I just met today with Zach about the new credit card payment system, which is going to require a lot of candy and baked goods and patience. And we shall see. I did suggest to Zach, I said, maybe we should just do away with charging for library cards, and then we wouldn't have to take credit cards or anything. But wasn't able to make that decision on the spot.
Are you saying that it's only payment by credit card?
No, we can still take cash and check. Yeah. And interpretive dance, you know. Yes, credit card, the majority of what we bring in on credit cards are usually library card payments for the year. So, and I just wanted to do a couple of reports about the partnerships and community engagement. So I met with some representatives from El Centro Norwest. Recently, they're situated here in Seaside, just behind Maria's Flowers. And they have a really strong presence in Cannon Beach and here and up in Astoria. And they have a meeting, a monthly meeting, I think it's called a Puente. And it's a Tuesday night, and of course we close at 7, but we were able to kind of negotiate that it's come here at 6, and I would just stay here. We can close the library and continue the meeting. And I'm excited because I'm able to present the materials that we purchased in Guadalajara to the group. So this is a group of Spanish-speaking individuals. I don't know how many people are coming or what the makeup of the group is, but I'm excited to be introduced to them. And we've already started talking about doing a Hispanic Heritage Month celebration in collaboration with them in October, late September, early October. And then I spoke about the One Book, One Seaside community read event. And yeah, this is a pilot. I'm excited to see how it goes. I hope from it will be maybe a subset of folks who are interested in being involved on a committee, maybe choosing the book in the future, maybe putting more structure to the program itself, which I would love to do, but I have a lot of other hats, and I think it would be great for that to be part of something else that other folks could be participating in. And I was interviewed for 2 different things. One was the IMLS funding article. Suzanne got her picture featured for the article, which was fine. Because I didn't know that was happening, and that was a little awkward. But yeah, we were both interviewed for that article. That the IMLS funding going away, and I think that's on the agenda to talk about a little bit. And also for, we had posted on Facebook about looking for folks to help with the how-to clinics. So I'm trying to blank, Jasmine reached out to interview me about that and was able to talk about a lot of the other programs that we're offering. So it's always nice to be able to be in the paper for fun things. So that's pretty much my report.
All right, and the unfinished business, the library website redesign.
Yes, it is now redesigned. Oh, my mouse is a little hand. How did that go away? Nope, not. Oh, okay. Thank you, Zoom.
Maybe share screen.
Maybe share screen. Absolutely no idea how to do that. But because of thought I opened it up. Okay. This is our new site that we launched, and it is right here. We're asking for feedback. We want to know. And if you highlight over here and you click on that, it'll slow down and then it'll pop open an email box if you have it connected to your email. So it lands on our calendar page. There's a couple of different things I want to point out here. This one is saved as pinboard. You can also see it as a monthly, which is kind of nice.
That's great.
Calendar format. And the agenda is just the laundry list of all of them. So depending on how you like to view the information, it shows up a couple different ways. And again, the easy access things up here, you can quickly search the catalog. You can just click into the catalog, that'll pop open a new window. or log into your account will do the same. And this, does anyone know what that little icon stands for? Libby. Libby, that's right. We thought, well, if you know, you know. So folks can easily access Libby right from that button there. So we streamlined it a little bit. We have these three basics up top about us. And again, you can see we're slowly building in the pages. So not all of the pages that we had before have been reinstated. The library board, for example, will actually take you right to the city page and talks about the library board. So that way we have one place to keep things updated. And we're working on the mission, changing that, and contact us is just a contact form. Art of the library is getting built out too. We're slowly adding information about the various art exhibits we've had. As you can see, in areas where it's under construction, it will tell you this area is under construction. And let's see what else I can share with you. The kids and teens will take you to another landing page. Maybe it's broken. Here's youth services, so it has a little bit of a different feel, but you still feel like you're sitting Seaside Library page. Again, we're continuing to build out these pieces here. Oh yeah, and all the footers of every page look like this. So we have all of this on each one. We wanted to streamline it a little bit, take some things out, maybe highlight some other pieces that were missing. And then under services, that's sort of where we have all the rest of the stuff. So programs for adults, how to register for a library card, if you want to request material. Let's see. It's not letting me do the drop down. Oh, isn't that great when it works? Generally, I would be able to click it into one of these things. I'm not sure why that's.
Click on the service.
I think your clicks on
See if
this.
that keeps it open.
I'm trying.
That's
It's
where
still
it is.
easier.
It's under the down. Oh, wait, here we go.
Oh, there you
For some reason, it's like right over that part, so, request material. So I don't know if you've tried to request material recently, but that button had been broken on our old website. That was one of the reasons why we
I
were
did.
doing. Yeah,
And I'd never heard it, so.
Yeah.
What it was, but
well,
okay,
follow up with
I'll
us.
try again.
That was
Is
one of
there
the
any
reasons.
place for the library of things?
Oh, like a listing of them?
Yeah.
No, I mean, they're just in our catalog, but yeah, so if we search the library catalog, I think by. I'll just include just Seaside here. Science centers, here's the telescope. The DVD player, which I have checked out before, was one I bought my own. Yeah,
I checked out the microscope once.
metal detector, yeah. Those are library of things, so that's if you just.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So one of the reasons we did update the website was the structure that the previous website was built upon was no longer supported. So when we wanted to make changes, it was challenging. So Alex, he's kind of our tech guy, researched how to make websites on Wix, which is pretty easy to navigate system, and he's been working behind the scenes building this. He and I would meet in here with the whiteboard and kind of draw out the architecture and think about what we wanted, where we wanted it, how we wanted it to flow. This is the end result of it. And you know, right here, we absolutely want people to let us know what they're thinking. You know, if it's something we can fix or makes sense, then we'll try to update it. But even just having multiple eyes on it, we've been able to make some little tweaks along the way, saying this is hard to read, or this is hard to, why is this in this place and not this place? So, yeah, we had some fun with it. And we will continue to build out these pages here. So the movies at the library, it's kind of neat. You can see all of the different, I'm not sure if it shows the ones that we've done in the past. Nope, just pulls directly from, I think the idea is that similar to the art at the library, it'll have sort of a, this is the reason why we do this, and here's some past examples, and then information about upcoming events. And of course, the 3D printing, remember we worked on the policy for the 3D printing, and that is now live. Maybe. Yeah. So this is basically the policy that y'all worked on. And we just keep it here. And he has received a few requests for printing. There was one little item that was getting picked up. Maybe it was a two-parter. It was maybe $4 or $5 worth of filament. So fill in the basic information here and generates the request for Alex. Neat feature. So I would definitely welcome any suggestions you have as you're exploring, or if you hear folks talking about it in the community, the grocery line, library website, what do they do?
Just some light stuff.
Oh yeah, all about the lightning stuff. So, all right, that is finally our library website redesign, which has been under construction for quite some time.
Okay, then to new business and the MLS discussion.
Yeah, so I sent out some information about it. As you know, actually we got an email, I think it was yesterday morning, that all of the IMLS staff, which maybe there's only 70 or 80, were put on administrative leave. And there's been a lot of information coming from our state organization, our state library organization, keeping us informed of what they're hearing, because it's really through the state that we would be receiving grants coming from IMLS through these block funds, essentially. And as we talked about in the Astorian article, while we have applied for IMLS grants over the years, it's basically what got ROC started. So libraries reading outreach class. I mean, the reason we're able to give library cards to every child in Classic County is through IMLS. So for pieces like that, it'll be unfortunate if that goes away. I think for the most part, Classic County in general is funded by a variety of different sources, so we're not so heavily reliant on the grant funding that many other small and rural libraries are.
Are there any statewide services that are funded by IMLS? I think there used to be some of the online databases and such that were accessible to all libraries were purchased with IMLS funds.
Yes, and that's through the state.
A number of the consultants and staff at the state library were funded through IMLS.
I would say about 25% from one of the emails I received from the state library, the state librarian, 25% of their funding is from IMLS. So that's a big chunk. I mean, it's.
So there could be staff reductions from the state library.
Could be.
And also any of those resources that are statewide,
yes,
databases and things could be gone as well. So even though we don't, as a library, even though we haven't done any grants recently, we're still affected by that because of the larger funding that was provided.
And I would also imagine kind of the trickle down affected that. So if libraries in smaller communities are having to shut their doors or cease purchasing content for their communities, you know, not only are those individual communities being affected, but you know, it's possible that we might see an influx of their neighboring communities that are.
In Eastern Oregon, I think their entire their library loan system has been funded by IMLS, because those are tiny. We're gigantic. This is a gigantic library compared to a lot of those Eastern Oregon libraries. And I think that may go away totally, so those little teeny tiny libraries can't even share with each other.
So the reason I put it on here really is just to have this conversation, and I think before a couple weeks ago, many folks wouldn't have known what IMLS stood for. I've known about it for many years, but you as maybe in museum land. But
I don't think we ever used it.
I think IMLS mostly does libraries with some museum and maybe to some of the larger museums, but they don't do as much.
When I looked it up, it was like Oregon Historic Society,
Yeah.
Central. It's called, stuff.
Yeah.
The big ones. Used it.
But not everybody's talking about it. It's like on my Facebook feed, it's like all these newspapers and other organizations are talking about it. It's like, wow, too bad. That's right at this point.
it is, but I think, you know, with kids, again, you know, eavesdropping in the grocery store line and, I can maybe speak somewhat knowledgeably about what IMLS does for not just our library system, but for the state of Oregon.
So does the funding for Libraries Rock still come from IMLS or just the funding to start it up?
Yeah, it was a startup grant. And we got an LSTA grant to start that up. The funding for that now comes from a variety of places. We have a grant from United Way, and then also Classic County. Each year, knock on wood, puts us into their budget for a chunk of that to make that available to all of the children.
There is a county-wide group of people that have gotten together recently. I think it was in the paper as well. Just talking about what federal funding is at risk or money that comes to the state from the feds. I don't remember this one being on there. The total so far is $120 million possible funding issues. Seaside itself is, as far as I can tell, not really affected at all.
Any little programs for the state? No?
We're getting it in.
Oh, okay.
That's just it. I mean, the only grant that I think the possibility we had a couple of electric charging stations over at the visitor center. That was a state grant, but it was funded by the Fed.
Right.
But as far as we know, they keep telling us, no, we've got the money. They just haven't built it.
So far for this year, we did apply for that teen internship grant through the state, and we were awarded that, and we have received the check. So that is in the grant.
I was just saying,
Cash until So we're covered for this summer. In addition, we have received the Ready to Read grant, which I did learn. Initially, we had thought that Ready to Read, which helps us do the summer reading both for Seaside, but all of the libraries, including Napa and Jewel, which through the ROC program. That actually comes out of the state's general fund. So if that might be diminished if the quarter of their budget goes away because of funding, but it's not directly correlated. It does come out of their general.
And reports from library staff refresh.
Yes, so when I was putting together the packet last week, and realizing, I think Josh inherited this format from John or whoever came before him as the assistant director. I'm looking to you all as maybe long before my time, of a report, but I guess the question is to you all, what is it that you would find most useful in a report, either from me or from Josh, or from others in the library, and wanted to put that out to you all.
The also most important, really is the calendar. You know,
Like what's coming up?
well, and the calendar last month, how many people participated?
Yeah, so calendar coming up. Would you like to see anything farther into the future or just the coming month?
Not from him.
Okay.
Unless there's something really big coming down the line.
Yeah, if you had one of those murder mystery nights.
Yeah.
Okay.
But otherwise, just that month,
Yeah.
just next month.
Okay, and then a report on statistics, because I think what I noticed is that we generally just have statistics from the adult programs for the previous month, so we're showing statistics for all of them. Anything else? He oversees volunteers, he does cataloging, are there other aspects of what he is in charge of that you find helpful?
Well, those kind of statistics,
Yeah. It'd be nice to know like,
when they volunteer.
the,
Volunteer hours and number of volunteers, yeah, that's always good.
Do you need more volunteers?
Okay,
Part of Christie's, names and Woods program.
yes, yeah.
I finally put some numbers in.
I think I finally did too, I always forget, but, yeah, we'll need to get our volunteers hooked into that too. And then for my report, I think I initially started thinking, in terms of big buckets, like the buildings, staffing, community engagement,
it'd be nice to have some statistics on your report too, like library usage. And when you flash those numbers for your annual report,
Yeah,
I
that
think
was-
we're all very interested in
Yeah.
that.
absolutely, and I looked at that, so, March, the first day of the month is when I get all of the previous month's, data. So the timing of it is a little unfortunate, but.
That's okay, we're good with a month
Yeah.
out.
And then I reported on last time, so we'll, next time I'll definitely give you some fun stats. But that was on my radar too, and I thought, well, next time. It's March is ending, so. Anything else that you would find useful or?
And somebody's walking.
Because your meetings here in the library, you kind of hold it. Want to put it later in the month. Issues for it.
That is true. We've actually talked about changing up the time. And part of it is with using this Zoom space because we share it with the city of Seaside. So if we were to go later on this particular day, we butt up against community development. So we could look at another day or something to consider. Okay, thank you. I'll share that input. And hopefully next month we'll be back to this. Change.
And no public today for any public comment, so.
I'm gonna throw something out. Some of you may have seen it already, but Cheryl Amschak, your former member, made it to Maryland today. 6,000 miles on that trip. And so she is now in her new home in Chevy Chase, Maryland. With her husband. That's great. Didn't break down or anything. I think 10 states or something. It's a lot of miles. I mean, it was,
Yeah, they were this southern route.
yeah, it was quite the adventure. 6,000
And
miles.
board comments. Anybody? All right, well, hold on, I gotta figure out the next day is. Looks like our next meeting will be May 6th at 4 p.m. And this meeting is adjourned.